In 1951, a woman died in Baltimore in America. She was called Henrietta Lacks. These are cells from her body. They were taken from her just before she died. They have been growing and multiplying ever since. There are now billions of these cells in laboratories around the world. If massed together, they would weigh 400 times her original weight. These cells have transformed modern medicine, but they also became caught up in the politics of our age. They shaped the policies of countries and of presidents. They even became involved in the Cold War, because scientists were convinced that in her cells lay the secret of how to conquer death. In 1860, a plantation owner in Virginia called Benjamin Lacks took a black mistress from among his workers. She bore him 2 children. They took their father's name, and for 3 generations the Lacks family worked in the fields. Then, in 1942, his great-granddaughter, Henrietta Lacks, decided to move to the city. She took her husband and family to Baltimore. It was wartime and there was money to be made. She was known to all her friends as Henny.
Goodness, I don't think I could.
Down, down, down they go. Into the darkness of the grave, gently they go. The beautiful, the tender, the kind. Quietly they go. The intelligent, the witty, the brave. I know, but I do not approve. And I am not resigned.
In 1951, a woman died in Baltimore in America. She was called Henrietta Lacks. These are cells from her body. They were taken from her just before she died. They have been growing and multiplying ever since. There are now billions of these cells in laboratories around the world. If massed together, they would weigh 400 times her original weight. These cells have transformed modern medicine, but they also became caught up in the politics of our age. They shaped the policies of countries and of presidents. They even became involved in the Cold War, because scientists were convinced that in her cells lay the secret of how to conquer death. In 1860, a plantation owner in Virginia called Benjamin Lacks took a black mistress from among his workers. She bore him 2 children. They took their father's name, and for 3 generations the Lacks family worked in the fields. Then, in 1942, his great-granddaughter, Henrietta Lacks, decided to move to the city. She took her husband and family to Baltimore. It was wartime and there was money to be made. She was known to all her friends as Henny.
goodness, I don't think I could top her. Henny was a beautiful girl. I was beautiful myself. I called myself it back in them days. But Henny was very, very pretty. Beautiful face, round face. And I used to admire her dressing because she used to dress real fancy. Not fancy, fancy, but I would say clothes that maybe I would like to have for myself. I dress good too, but she had a husband and she could afford fine dressing. And she liked pretty things. She likes nice things.
The cells stop growing, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes something happens to start them growing again, uncontrolled, dividing again, outlaws. Pressing on healthy tissues, healthy organs, growing, spreading throughout the body to start new malignant colonies. This is cancer.
6 miles away from where Henrietta lived was the laboratory of Dr. George Guy. Dr. Guy's ambition was to rid the world of cancer. He was convinced that the secret of how to do this lay inside the human cell. For 20 years, he had been trying to grow human cells in test tubes.
Dr. Guy's simple dream was to be the first to successfully sustain the growth of human cells outside the body, so that in test tubes, the secret of cancer cause could be exposed, and once exposed, altered and corrected.
The key, Dr. Guy believed, was to feed the cells on chicken blood. He did this by drawing blood from the heart of live chickens. He then mixed it with cancer tissue taken from patients in Baltimore's main hospital. His aim was to persuade the cancer cells to keep growing outside the body. Each time he filmed the results, but every attempt failed. After a few days, the cells always died.
Why should the cancer problem be so difficult? It is long and it is difficult because this tiny cell, this microscopic unit of life, so small the naked eye cannot see it, this is a very world in itself, a universe to be explored.
Then, on February the 1st, 1951, Henrietta Lacks was taken to Baltimore's main hospital. She had been sent to see a gynecologist.
I just happened to be the one who saw her when she first came in. And her history was very simple. She had had some intermenstrual spotting and bleeding, which is a sign of cancer, but it can be a sign of other things too. She was generally fine. There was no difficulty with the general examination. But on examination of the cervix by the eye with a suitable instrument, I was extremely impressed, and I can see that lesion today because it was not like an ordinary cancer. This was different. This didn't look like cancer. It was purple, and it bled very easily on touching. I'd never seen anything that looked like it, and I don't think I've ever seen anything look like it since. So it was a very special, different kind of what turned out to be a tumor.
Cancer?
As usual, a small piece of the cancerous tissue was cut off and taken to Dr. Guy.
I was eating lunch. We always ate lunch right in the laboratory, next to the mouse cages. And Dr. Guy came in with a petri dish, and he said that there was a specimen to put into culture. What he had left me was a chunk of tumor tissue, and I took my scalpels like this. These were sterile, and the tissue would be in a petri dish like this, and you just cut it up, just like you're cutting up some meat. And then you added, according to his formula, so many drops of chicken plasma, just like I had done all the others. And lo and behold, it grew.
Henrietta Lacks's cells began to do what Guy had dreamed of. They started to grow in his laboratory. This is the film he took of their first week's growth.
She was sick. You could hear sometimes all the way downstairs hollering. Oh, Lord, oh, Lord. I can't get no ease. Her stomach will be hurting her so bad. Jesus, help me, help me. I didn't never hear nobody say that she had cancer. Nobody, you know, that was a secret word one time. If people had cancer, they didn't talk about it. They didn't talk about it. They was afraid.
These are Henrietta Lacks's cells, filmed 6 weeks later. Each cell is now dividing every 20 hours. For any cancer, it was a record growth rate.
The cells exhibited the same growth in the test tube as they exhibited in her, namely that they were unstoppable and continued to grow in a very special way. So it was the first human cell line. Her tumor, incidentally, did not respond well to treatment.
She didn't fade away. Her looks, her body, it didn't just fade. You know, like some people be sick in the bed with cancer and it looks bad, but she didn't. But the only thing you could tell was in her eyes, to me. That she could, like her eyes were telling you that she wasn't coming out alive no more.
Henrietta Lacks died on October the 4th, 1951.
Tonight, we will learn why scientists believe that cancer can be conquered.
That same evening, Dr. Guy appeared on a television science program to show off his breakthrough.
Now let me show you a bottle in which we have grown massive quantities of cancer cells.
As he held Henrietta Lacks's cells up to the camera, his assistant was in the autopsy room. Dr. Guy had sent her to get more of the precious cells from the dead body.
And I was all alone with my petri dish. And I walked in, and she was all completely open. And just, you could look in and see tumor everywhere on all the tissues. And her bladder was one complete solid mass of tumor. She was very, very thin. The one thing that I did notice was she had chipped red nail polish on her toenails. And I thought, oh, this was a live woman, and it's not just a body.
We will show you some actual pictures of colonies in a test tube of cancer cells such as those I just showed you. It is quite possible that from fundamental studies such as these, that we will be able to learn a way by which cancer can be completely wiped out.
Henrietta Lacks's body was taken back south to be buried. Dr. Guy kept what he had done a secret from her family. He was worried they might sue him. He gave the cells a code name, HeLa, H-E-L-A, and told everyone they came from a woman called Helen Lane. Henrietta Lacks was buried in an unmarked grave. It is next to the ruins of the house in which she was born. She left behind her a husband and 5 young children.
A lot of people say I look just like Henrietta, just like my mother. They see me, they know, that's Henrietta's daughter, I know that's Henrietta. And I'm like, well, how do these people know me? Then they, be talking to another cousin in the yard that lives down here, and they, yeah, you're right, that's Dale. Well, that's my nickname, Dale. I don't know why they gave me that name. I haven't seen you since you was a baby. I'm like, a baby? You know who I am now? God. It's weird, just to know that you look like so close to somebody. They just say she was just a loving person. I don't know, it seemed like the good Lord just take the good ones away. I don't think I'm that nice, but I'm working at it.
major cause of cancer and a vaccine developed to that virus to control cancer. And because Henrietta Lacks' cells were cancerous, they had to have the secret of what cancer was and how you could kill it.
The first step was to find out whether, like polio, cancer was infectious. Two scientists went to a maximum security prison in Ohio. They took with them large quantities of Henrietta Lacks' cells.
This is the first suspension that we'll be using this morning, and down at the bottom here you can see quite a pellet of concentrated cancer cells. This material, the suspension of cells, will then be taken up into a tuberculin syringe and merely injected underneath the skin of the forearm through an area that has been anesthetized with Novocaine.
They were inoculating them with HeLa cells under the skin to see if the HeLa cells would grow and cause a cancer. It seemed a very eminently reasonable thing to do. How else are you going to find out if HeLa cells in fact do, spread and cause cancer?
Why did you volunteer for this?
My grandmother, my father both died of cancer, and I believe that the wrong that I have done in the eyes of society this might make a right on it. I mean, I don't know.
The idea and hope was that, well, if we can cure polio by making a vaccine in cell culture, why can't we make a vaccine against cancer in cell culture and provide a vaccine to immunize people against these viruses that are causing the cancers?
Some of the prisoners developed small tumors, but not full-blown cancer. The results were inconclusive.
When they cut out the lower one on my arm, you can see here, the top one, they called me back after 14 days, and it did not have to be removed. It had died out in my system. So that is, they think that there's what they're trying to find, immunity to it.
Well, now, why did you volunteer for this test?
Well, I've done a girl a great injustice, and I think it'll pay back a little bit. What I did do. Yes, sir.
But then, other evidence emerged that seemed to prove there really might be a cancer virus. Henrietta Lacks was no longer alone in the cell world. Suddenly, it seemed very easy to grow cells outside the body. Some were cancerous, others were normal. This is a heart cell growing inside a Petri dish. Each cell is beating with the same rhythm as the heart from which it came.
Out of this original push, attempts now proliferated everywhere to grow human cells, and many of them were successful. By God, they had cells from lung, and they had cells suddenly growing and rapidly from a variety, a whole spectrum of human tissues.
I had prostate surgery, and since the prostate grows so well in the body, I thought, well, it should be able to grow pretty well in our laboratory. So I made arrangements to have the surgeon cut off a piece of the prostate that was removed, mince it up with scissors, very fine, sharp scissors, in a sterile glass vessel. Because the finer you mince, the better you have, the better chance you have of getting a better yield of cells.
In the hunt to start new cell lines, other cell biologists turned to their own families.
I decided that I would try to establish a cell line from the amnion at the birth of one of my children. And on the day of my daughter's birth, I appeared with my wife and the collecting materials, which I gave to the nurse. And the material was duly collected. I took it back to the laboratory after assuring myself that my wife and new daughter were healthy. And within a few hours, I could look through the microscope and see the cells from my daughter's amnion.
Then the strangest thing began to happen. Many of the normal cell lines suddenly developed cancer. Normal cells lying open in the laboratory would abruptly transform into malignant cancer cells. It became known as spontaneous transformation.
I observed in the culture an island of cells that looked different from the normal cell population. And because of my experience with cells by that time, I knew that this was what we then called a spontaneous transformation. That is, the spontaneous acquisition of cancer cell properties by a normal cell in culture.
Could it be a virus? Do we have ways of detecting for a virus? Could there have been a virus in there that caused this transformation? Let's do it again. Let's put another bit of this cell into culture, and it might happen again. And maybe it did happen again.
Was your wife a bit shocked?
Not at all. Why should she be?
Well, there you are, growing her daughter's cells in culture, and suddenly they transform into cancer.
Yes. Why should I be shocked, or she should be shocked with that?
There was now a growing belief that inside malignant cell lines like Henrietta Lacks' was a cancer virus. If it could be found and isolated, cancer would be conquered. But it was going to take a great deal of money. Help came from a woman called Mary Lasker. She was a Millionaire Society hostess in New York.
I think this is one of the most exciting still lifes that Matisse ever did. It's full of color and warmth. I have some pictures here by Cézanne and Manet and Renoir.
Lasker's husband had died of cancer. Since then, she had devoted herself to a crusade. She wanted the government to fund a vast project, like the space program, to cure cancer.
Believe it or not, the amount of money that's being spent for medical research is, well, it's just fiddling. And you won't believe this, less is spent on cancer research than we spend on chewing gum.
But cancer was low on the political agenda. To persuade the politicians, Mary Lasker needed to find the promise of a simple cure. Then one of her scientist friends, Matilda Krim, told her about the virus cancer theory.
To Mary Lasker, the virus theory of cancer was very exciting when she heard of it. It seemed to offer a point of attack to the cancer problem, you know. Knowing the enemy is always useful. She called me one day and she says, Matilda, we have to push this campaign for cancer research because this is something the public will be in favor of. Everybody's afraid of cancer. We together started this campaign for cancer research.
I'm Bing Crosby, and I am on stage. And that means the show's begun.
Lasker and Krim turned to Hollywood. They persuaded the stars to appear in network television shows. Their job was to speak publicly about the thing of which everyone was terrified.
Today, I'm 53 years old. I have a family consisting of 6 kids and a wife whom I adore. And I also have lung cancer.
You are nobody till somebody loves you.
Their other task was to broadcast the confident promises of the scientists.
It is my belief that we are now witnessing the beginning of a great explosion of knowledge about this disease, which will culminate in its complete control.
Even if I'm gone when you see me speak these words to you, let me join you in this crusade, and let's make this world a world that's cancer-free.
But at the very moment when the stars were promising the end of cancer, the cell biologists realized there was something seriously wrong with their science. And the reason was Henrietta Lacks and her cells. It began when a scientist called Stanley Gartler examined many of the major cell lines. He discovered that all of them secreted the same form of enzyme. It was a type found only in black people. The problem was that all the cell lines he looked at came from whites. The only black cell line was Henrietta Lacks. At a packed meeting of cell biologists, Gartler announced the inescapable conclusion.
He told them, folks, cell lines that are presumably derived from other tissues in different individuals are not such. These are cells from Henrietta Lacks. If you think you have been working with breast cells, you're wrong. If you think you've been working with lung cells, you're wrong. And kidney cells, you're wrong. You're working with cells derived from a human female uterus. And that's that. And it was very embarrassing, and it's very shocking to many people, and there was a great alarum.
I couldn't believe it. He was saying that this enzyme is present only among blacks. So, ergo, this tissue did not come from you. You're white. It must have come from black. If it came from black, it probably came from Gila. So you mixed your cells with Gila. Whether he's, I say he's wrong. I say he's wrong.
Many of the cell biologists refused to believe Gartler. But for those who had developed cell lines from their own flesh and blood, the only other explanation was even worse.
What Gartler was saying about my daughter's cells was that they had enzyme characteristics of a black parent, which is the reason I ran to the telephone to speak with my wife. And she assured me that I had nothing to worry about. I'm not black, and neither is my wife.
Leonard Hayflick never believed what he was hearing. In his particular case, because it involved his own blood, his own cells. It involved, really, to get down to a cellular level, it involved his own sperm and that of the egg of his wife.
To me, it had absolutely no importance whatsoever, other than my intellectual curiosity.
Ready, Mr. Craig? Fantastic. Okay. Are we ready, Dan?
What was that?
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Portal's open, everybody's online?
Yeah, people are starting to hop online. Or
Okay.
the presenters. Or they're not. Yeah.
Okay, can they see the room?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Forgive me, I am having trouble. There it is. One. And okay. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? Is it good? This is really good. I am so glad. You just don't know how excited I am to be here today, partly because it's the end of the semester, and that always means there's going to be parties, and because we take a moment out to really celebrate something I greatly appreciate, and that is being alive. So welcome to our second annual SLCC Henrietta Lacks tribute, co-sponsored by Henrietta Lacks House. And today's theme is Immortal Like Her. And what do we mean by immortal like her? Well, before we get into that, we want to say thank you to all of you, in particularly to Kurt, Vice President of Student Services, to Craig Caldwell, who's not here, but he's the Dean of STEM. He helped coordinate it, to our outreach librarians, to Safe UT for being here, my American Cancer Society team, Cancer Action Team, Daniel Cohen, who's here for the U of U Ballet, our Cancer Rehabilitation Center owner and manager, Catherine Staniford, who is also doubling for our American Cancer Society information person. We also want to thank Stacy Stanford, who is the grassroots manager with the American Cancer Society. We are happy to have Mr. Craig Mossman here. He is the founder and business developer of Seek Labs. And I'm very happy to have him here because they have a lab named after Henrietta Lacks. And that just really touched my heart. But then, most of all, I'm very glad today to have participation and co-sponsorship from the Henrietta Lacks House board members, and that would be Dr. Tanya Roberson, who is a community psychologist, Candace Malone, who is Vice President of Partnerships, and our main keynote speaker, Mr. ALFRED Lacks Carter, who is a World Health Organization Goodwill Ambassador, and he will be speaking to us virtually. Right now, I would really like to give space to have some words from our co-sponsor here at the school, Vice President Kurt Larson.
Well, unless I've been promoted, my actual title is Assistant Vice President for Student Services, but I will check with the President later and see if maybe you know something that I don't. David often knows things that I have not heard yet. Those of you here currently in the room, those of you tuned in online, those of you perhaps streaming this later, welcome and thank you so much for being here. I think it's an important opportunity that we're taking here to honor and memorialize Ms. Henrietta Lacks. Many of us may have come to know her and her story through The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, the 2017 film starring Renee Elise Goldsberry and as Henrietta, and Oprah Winfrey as one of her descendants playing Deborah Lacks, or from the book of the same name by Kathleen Sloot. It's, regardless, I think, of your connection with HeLa cells that Henrietta Lacks is named for, I think there's not a person in this room or watching online who hasn't been touched by cancer in some way, either personally or by a friend or relative. And it's important, I think, to honor and remember those who have succumbed to cancer, but also the important work of those who have been making tremendous advancements in fighting the disease in all its forms. I want to thank everyone who is joining us here today and presenting, and I think your lives will be forever changed by the contributions of the presenters and performers that we're going to see in the ensuing minutes here. So do you want, David, me to introduce someone in particular, or shall I send you back up to bring up our first guest? All right. Well, thank you all again for being here, both in person and online.
You know, I got to give Kurt a hand clap because every year he has to put up with me. So here you go. We're going to emphasize that this program is intended for wide distribution today. And the best part about that is that we're trying to treat this as immortal as she is. She just never stops giving. And very soon, you'll be hearing from her grandson, ALFRED Lax Carter, and the folks from Gila House. And before we get there, I also want to thank the library, because the library is technically the best place to start with. We want to know, in the same way that I found out, how you can find out about Henrietta Lacks. And so I'm going to ask our library folks if they are ready to do their presentation. Are we good? Okay. And so please come forward and share with us and the folks who are watching virtually your presentation in tribute to Henrietta Lacks. Steve, is it?
Huh?
Steve?
Michael.
Michael, okay.
Michael.
Thank you, Michael. Here, get the pictures up the way here.
Okay. I'm Michael Toy. I'm a instructional liaison librarian. I'm going to show you some resources that are available in the library that you can use to do research on the past about anything about Henrietta Lacks. So, to get to the home page of the library, an easy way to do it, you can either Google it, just say SLCC library, but I always like to show people where to get to the library from the college homepage. So if you're a current student, or even if you're not, that's right, we have a convenient link here to the library homepage. And so that's the library homepage. And so one resource I'm going to show you is just how to find any books we have might have about HeLa cells or Henrietta Lacks. So just go to our catalog. And so you just put in, maybe just put in HeLa or something, or Henrietta Lacks and search it. And so the first item that comes up is the Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. And so it will just, if you click on the item record, it'll tell you where it's located. It says it's at the Redwood Campus Library, it's a book, and gives you the Library of Congress call number. Right now, its status is on display because of this event, but that's basically how you find a book. It's in the back right there if you care to look at it. And then another resource I'm going to show you is we have a lot of resources that you might find useful on our nursing research guide. We also call them library research guides. And so if you scroll down, let's see, to the help and info, we have this research guides link here. We also call them libguides. And so we have lots of different subject areas that will help you do research. And one is health sciences. And so we have several health sciences research guides, and one that you might find useful is nursing. And so another thing that we have are some databases that you might find useful that will give you mainly journal articles about a topic. And so one that might be particularly useful is ProQuest Central. This has a lot of resources in it. And so this is one search I did. I did a search for HeLa cells and vaccines. It's a really big database, so you might consider using the advanced search. And I use that to search for HeLa cells as a subject headings, and then just the word vaccines anywhere in the record. And so just click on it, and it will give you a list of 282 results. And they list all the most recent ones first, and then as you go down the list, it just gets older. And we have this defaulted to finding full text articles. So when you click on the full text of an article, you'll get the full text every time. Since we're doing a medically related subject heading, like for cancer research, we have different source types here. And so that emphasizes scholarly journals for this particular search. But if you ever do a search on something else, you'll get a lot more, a variety of results. But since we're doing something medical, it will emphasize the scholarly results. And then another resource that you might find useful is a resource called JSTOR. That's short for Journal Storage. That emphasizes archived items. And so when you click on that, if you just do a search maybe for Henrietta Lacks, it'll bring a lot of older things up, but if you're looking for something that's historical in nature, this is a good database to look in, and this database is all full text as well. So when you click on the record, you'll get the full text every time. So another type of resource that I've listed on my LibGuide or research guide are databases or websites. Websites. So I have a couple of websites listed here that you might think are useful. If you go to general information sources, I believe is where I have it. You go to the National Cancer Institute. It's right here. And what you can do is they have a database that you can search for any topic. So in this one, I did something like HeLa cells and maybe cervical cancer. Cervical cancer, there we go. Oops, took out HeLa cells. HeLa, okay, there we go. Has quite a lot of results in it. You can see it has like over 16,000 things, so maybe you want to add another keyword if you want something more detailed. But just click on any of those links and it'll give you information for that particular search, like I did cervical cancer and HeLa cells. And then another one that you might find useful is the National Institute of Health. And so doing a search on this one, I just did a search for HeLa cells. Being difficult. There we go, okay. And so the very first search it came up with, the number one, was a source page specifically about Henrietta Lacks' contributions, or her cell's contributions to the impact on research over the past 6 days. So you can click on any of those and maybe you can look at significant research advances enabled by HeLa cells and find a lot of information about that as well. And it'll do it by decade. So that might be one source you'd be interested in looking at. Of course, you can just search for anything on the search bar and it'll find a lot of information as well, but I thought I'd just point that resource out. And then another source that we have that could give you some videos about it is the Films on Demand database. So here are our research databases, and we have them arranged alphabetically, so I want Films on Demand. And here's the Films on Demand collection. Has lots of videos on it and clips. And so just doing a search for Henrietta Lacks. The first resource that comes up is that Oprah Winfrey video about her. So you can see that online. Those are, I think, probably all of the resources that I think you would find useful. Just remember to go to the library homepage. And if you're on campus, you can use that. But if you're off campus, to get access to our resources, you would need to be a student or a faculty member to do that. But you can certainly see these if you go on campus. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mike. This is really important to me because I met Henrietta Lacks. I didn't see her in a video. I didn't even know she lived down the street from me. I met her in the medical library at the Veterans Hospital in Chicago when I was researching my medical procedure that they used to save my life. That was where I discovered that her HeLa cells were used to test out the procedure that allowed me to stand here today. So I cannot thank you enough for that. It really is important to me. I can also emphasize that in the time I was out in the hallway jaw-jacking, a lot of students knew who Henrietta Lacks was. And they've come across her in their lessons, and the school is a perfect place for her to be known. But at the same time, it's really good to know that there are several ways to access her, both within the school library and in the public domain. So thank you very much for that. The next way that we want to talk about and to pay tribute to Henrietta Lacks is through the participation of the folks whose shirt I'm wearing up here today, the American Cancer Society. And to do that, I'm going to ask Ms. Catherine Standiford, got to get it right, my good friend and mentor and just all around really great person, to come on up and to tell us all about it. Okay. Thank you, Catherine.
Hi, guys. So I am the lead ambassador for the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. What the Cancer Action Network does is basically lobby for different healthcare needs. In 2019, we lobbied for the Henrietta Lacks Access to Clinical Trials bill. It was passed in 2020. So basically that was a bill that allowed access to clinical trials for people of color who are at a higher risk for cancers. It was really an emotional year for me because, like David, I have a cancer tie to Henrietta's cells. My mom is a 2-time breast cancer survivor. My dad carries the breast cancer gene. So out of like 7 kids in our family, 5 have the breast cancer gene. And without her cells, we wouldn't know about this gene that lives in our family. So it was really cool to meet her grandson at the lobby day this year in DC because of our family history. So we have a Cancer Action Day at the State Capitol February 11th. Everyone's invited to attend. You can RSVP with David, but we'd love to have you guys come up there. One of the big things we're tackling this year is big tobacco and access to healthcare. That's always our #1 priority, access to healthcare, access to trials. So that's kind of an overview of the ACS CAN side, and I'm also on the board of American Cancer Society. Does everybody know that there's a Hope Lodge in Salt Lake City? Yes, no, kind of. So the Hope Lodge is a free lodging place for patients with cancer. You can have one caregiver stay with you. It's for anybody traveling more than 40 miles for treatment. It's set up through your healthcare provider, but the American Cancer Society has so many resources for screenings and kind of everything that you could possibly imagine for cancer research. And it's the site that I tell patients to go to if they're newly diagnosed. There's a lot of great new programs for mentorship with the American Cancer Society, with partnering you with somebody that's got your same cancer type and your same age. And then we also have the Road to Recovery, which is a transportation service that takes patients to and from treatment. So there's volunteer opportunities for both organizations, and we'd love to have you participate. But I got involved in ACS CAN probably close to 10 years ago. I own a cancer rehab clinic, and it's a physical therapy-based clinic. So we help patients with any side effect from treatment, which, you know, there's a lot of side effects. And I think for the most part, people don't know that they can have physical therapy to help with the side effects. We help with fatigue, really anything. Amy is going to talk a little bit more about our clinic and how she got involved. And if there's any other questions at the end, just let us know.
So yes, my name is Amy Swenson, and I am a graduate in the PTA program, the Physical Therapy Assistant program here at SLC. And I have a degree in dance, and I had a mom who dealt with the effects of a stroke that she had when she was a kid. And so I always just had a place in my heart for physical therapy and mobility and just trying to make life better. And so going through school here, which it's an amazing program, amazing instructors, and just so much heart. And so it really exposed me to so many areas of physical therapy that I didn't know even existed. People would be like, oh, it's only with old people. And that's just not true. There is a wide variety of people that need physical therapy, and that being that I'm now exposed to is populations of people with cancer. And that age group varies greatly. We deal with more adults. Children, that's a whole nother thing too. But it's been an amazing journey. I've been with Catherine since like February. I have already learned so much, and I still feel like I know nothing almost. And learning more about HENRIETTA Lacks, that was new to me. Actually, I have cancer in my family with my grandma and my sister. And it's really opened my heart and my mind to really appreciate what her family has done to continue to support this, because it has, even from the cancer cells going into space and realizing that zero gravity increases and it grows even more, and just understanding how cancer and other things behave in our cells. It expands to everything. But getting, so anyway, I feel like it's very expansive and people don't know. Coming back to the physical therapy in our center, people don't know that they can have help with their mobility. And it's been really interesting because people come in with a lot of comorbidities already, with their cancer already. And it takes, so I recently took a seminar, and there were occupational therapists talking, physical therapists, mental therapists, all coming together. And it really does take a team to help out people, cancer population, because sometimes there's not family support. I come into work and I feel like it's a mobility session, but it's also, how do I do this? I can't do this today. And some days where it's amazing and they've overcome this fear of their balance or their diagnosis. There are just so many factors that physical therapy plays, and we definitely work together in a clinic, and it's something that I hope that we can spread the word that people can have more hope and success, and we're here for it. And thank you. I'm going to turn back to Catherine. And
there's resources available. If you feel like there's not enough, come to us and we'll guide you into the right ways. Like I said, there's transportation things, there's access to clinical trials. A lot of patients don't know that they can ask for these things with their oncologist. There's, a list of registrations for clinical trials available by cancer type. So there's a lot of resources available for cancer patients in the community, and we're just here to kind of facilitate and get you where you need to go. So that's all.
It's funny that we are here today and we're doing this tribute to someone who never had any of these things available to them, but yet all of these things have grown out of their sacrifice. And I can say personally that it was rough going to school here as a cancer-impacted person. It was really, really tough. And some of the simple things that they were talking about were daily challenges for me. I used to sleep right across the hallway in the student lounge over there because my medication was so overwhelming, and just getting back and forth to class. If you have a patient culture, then usually people can find a way through. But we're so glad that they had the time to talk to us about it, and let's all keep that in mind. There are physical challenges to people with cancer, even after they've recovered. That's one of the great messages that we hope to take away from here and to help the school in this community college cancer action initiative that we're doing right now for the school to adapt. So since y'all don't want to see me dance, I kind of know the school's out on that one. We thought, though, that it would be wonderful if we could have someone to do a performance for us in tribute to Henrietta Lacks. And for that, I'm going to ask Mr. Daniel Cohen to come forward, graduate from the U of U Ballet School, and to offer his performance for us today. That was beautiful. I think it does deserve another round of applause. Henrietta Lacks loved to dance. And so that is why this year we tried to include as much in tribute to her from the performing arts as we could. And thank you again, Daniel. That was really, really beautiful. Wow. And so right now we want to continue our tribute and do so in a new way, new and very interesting way. We would really like to have Mr. Craig Mossman from Seek Labs to come. And we actually met by accident, but it was through my performance of my job as a volunteer for the Cancer Action Network that I discovered something that I found to be very important, and he has graciously agreed to be with us. So, Mr. Craig, I give you the mic, sir.
I appreciate the opportunity to be here. You know, if you've read the book about the immortal life of Henrietta Lacks, you might come to believe that the chance meeting that David just spoke about was actually her influence on bringing us together. At the outset, I'd also like to thank the Lacks family. What's clear is that through a great wrong, great good occurred. And it was their graciousness and kindness that allowed that to happen, that they gave space for that to happen. Others will be able to tell the story better than I can. They're more qualified to tell the story than I am, but I've been touched by that story. I learned of HeLa cells more than 20 years ago at a company that was working on a treatment for prostate cancer. And it is something that we use at Seek Labs here in Salt Lake City today. So I've been asked to tell a little bit about Seek Labs, if I can get this to work. He told me to be patient. He told me it'd be 10 or 12 seconds maybe for things to move forward. Seek Labs is a laboratory in Salt Lake City that is dealing with a couple of different things at the same time. One is a novel treatment for all disease and cancers. And another is a process to be able to detect diseases. Let's see how quickly this thing moves now. We're driven by a higher purpose. We're driven by a purpose that says what we want to do is impact global health. We want to collaborate. We seek intellectual curiosity. And I tell you a little bit about Seek Laboratories because of the great impact of Henrietta Lacks, that her cells are not only used in our research, but her cells were used in so many other areas. It is said that her cells were responsible for the polio vaccine and for the COVID vaccine and for cornea transplant research. And it's certainly true that her situation, what occurred, greatly impacted patient rights, access to health care, and important conversations regarding race and health care. At Seek, as we built our laboratories, and you're all invited to come down at some point if you'd like, at Seek, we recognized the impact of others in the work that we do. We named our laboratories after great scientists. Hedy Lamarr, Rosalind Franklin, and Walter Nernst were three of the laboratories that we named after great scientists to have our young scientists recognize that they stand on the shoulders of others. But there never was anyone more impactful than Henrietta Lacks. Her influence influenced medicine, influenced virology, influenced so many things in medicine and science. I think it's important for us as a company that we recognize that. And this is a picture of one of the laboratories. And the work in that laboratory today is cutting edge science that has taught us how to take a viral genome and cut it and have that cease to replicate. And in this very laboratory, we're currently doing research to apply that same thing to cancers, to have cancer cells cease to replicate. Wouldn't that be something? Part of our work is to impact healthcare through this kind of interesting collaboration, these interesting work in healthcare. But what we have learned is that Henrietta Lacks' influence and immortality is not simply limited to her cells, but that it moves to all of her life, that like her, our own contributions can be everlasting. And I've put up here three giants to talk a little bit about that in my last few remarks. The three giants on the screen in front of you include Dr. Annie Roy, who is the director of our science, who came to us from India and got a graduate degree here at the University of Utah and came to us, and the story is, forgot to tell us that she had a PhD because she just wanted to come in, work in our laboratories and bet on herself. And it didn't take us very long to recognize that she's a brilliant mind and quickly became head of our science, and also very quickly discovered something that I think cements her immortal legacy, and that is isothermal amplification. Look it up sometime. It is something that the science community has tried to discover for more than 40 years. And it's been discovered here in Salt Lake by someone who originally thought she would start as a bench scientist in our laboratories. Second, and I'm grateful to him for allowing this contribution, is one of the world's great scientists who's a professor up at Utah State University, Ryan Jackson, who overcame crippling depression and became an amazing scientist who discovered if you've heard of CRISPR, discovered one of the CRISPR molecules that exists. And the last is my friend, Jared Bauer. Jared and his wife, Sarah, had a tragedy occur where their 8-month-old child died. And they took that tragedy and they built on it. And they built a foundation, the Oliver Fund, that funds toys and schooling for the poorest of the poor children on earth, children who live their lives in refugee camps. And Jared, as one of the founders of SEEK, also built upon that tragedy, that pain, to build a company that we think will stamp out the very disease that killed his child, and will be able to stop the spread of other diseases. It's been said that what we obtain too cheaply, we esteem too lightly. And I think then for your journey, for our journey, to have our contributions mean something, to have our contributions be everlasting, it will come at a price. And just as Henrietta Lacks and her family had to pay a price to be able to bring forth all of these great medical innovations and treatments that have saved millions of lives, I think our own contributions, if they're to be everlasting, will also require a sacrifice. I pray and hope for a day when my grandchildren will know of Henrietta Lacks and her sacrifice and her contributions in grade school, as one of the great American stories, as one of the great people who have ever lived here. And I'm thankful to lend my voice to the voices that are given today to honor that legacy. Thank you.
We wish the whole scientific industry would feel that same way. And we know that as long as we all keep working together, eventually we'll get there. So Craig, thank you again for those words. They are really inspirational and uplifting. We're going to turn to the part of our program in which we have the keynote speakers to share with us the words that they want to give us today. Our keynote speakers are from the Henrietta Lacks House. They are the board members of Henrietta Lacks House, which is a nonprofit that Salt Lake Community College has been building a relationship with toward a partnership, and they have kindly agreed to be with us today. But the idea for the theme, Immortal Like Her, comes from the book written by her grandson, Alfred Lacks Carter, who is the World Health Organization Goodwill Ambassador. And there's a kind of a double entendre thing here, but it's the chapter in that book called Shadows of Immortality is the name of the book, and it's the chapter called Immortal. And it's hard for any of us to think about what immortality means, but it's actually something that all of us can get our hands around. And then in the concluding statement, I'll try to emphasize that. But right now, Alfred is here, and Dr., is that Candace? And do we have Dr. Tanya? Is she going to join us?
Yes, she'll be joining us.
Okay. So I'm going to leave you in the hands of Alfred Lacks Carter, World Health Organization Goodwill Ambassador for the Elimination of Cervical Cancer, and also Ms. Candace Malone, Vice President of Partnerships for Henrietta Lacks House.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, David. I would like to say thank you to everyone who has put this wonderful event together, all the distinguished speakers who have gracefully conveyed their love and affection for my grandmother, Henrietta Lacks, and everything that the HeLa cells have done for mankind. I would be remiss if I didn't say that my family collectively sends their love. We had a speaking engagement a couple of years ago in Ogden, Utah, at the Echo School, and the Voss family, Dr. Sarah Voss and her family, extended a warm welcome to myself and my family, and I will be forever indebted to the Voss family for showing my family so much love. You know, my grandma, Henrietta Lacks, is a hero of modern medicine. The HeLa cell contributions to the medical discoveries, you know, help make possible some of the most important medical advances in the last century. Her life have incontestably impacted global health, science research, bioethics, patient rights, and equity that benefit us all. My family will continue to raise awareness and advocate to address worldwide injustices such as poverty, racism, medical ethics, unemployment, homelessness, education, patients' rights, and tissue ownership. We are driven by an immortal bloodline that inspires us to stand for marginalized people. You know, other books have been written about my grandmother, such as HeLa Family Stories by my Uncle Lawrence Lacks and his wife Babette, and HeLa Lacks, The Untold Stories by my cousin Ron Lacks. We will uplift my grandmother Henrietta's contribution to the world for generations to come. The Lacks family is transitioning from victims to victor with a proud family heritage. So thank you so much for having us. You know, we have collectively put together a team at the HeLa House with myself, Mr. David Sanders, my partner, Candace Milan, and Dr. Tanya Robertson, who is a professor at Governor State University in Chicago. We are a community-based organization. We're boots on the ground. We hold seminars. We have stroke prevention awareness. We just did a seminar in Chicago that turned out very well. And that's what we do. And we want to educate people on Henrietta Lacks and the HeLa cell. It's funny, David and I were talking and we were trying to come up with a word to try to help people understand the significance of science and the importance of the HeLa cell. And I came up with the word descientificate. So the HeLa House and the Lacks family want to descientificate people because your health is so important to generations to come. And you also can be immortal like her. We are doing tremendous work with different organizations. I own and I have the documents, my grandmother's, her hospital, what's the word I'm looking for, Candace? I have her hospital documents, and we are going to donate them to Morehouse School of Medicine because we are in the process of starting the Henrietta Lacks Global Institute. And we are going to partner with the AACR. We're going to partner with the United Negro College Fund. We're partnering with the NIH. And we have the backing of as myself being a goodwill ambassador for cervical cancer elimination with the World Health Organization. So we're out here doing tremendous work to give people the education that's needed about Henrietta Lacks and the journey that her family has trekked for over the last 70 years. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my partner, Candace Milan, who will give you all enlightenment on the Henrietta Lacks House. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alfred. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be here and to listen to everyone's stories. The Henrietta Lacks House in Chicago, aka Gila House, as Alfred already said, our whole goal is to educate and increase awareness about Henrietta Lacks and the HeLa cell. And through that education, we have a lot of community engagement programs where we also advocate for the increase in the diversity of clinical trials, because it's so important to have diversity in clinical trials because it improves the healthcare outcome for everyone. And that is why that is so important to us, to have diversity in terms of gender, people from all walks of life, people from all neighborhoods, because the more data that we can have, it will improve medical treatments and diagnostic tests for all of us. So thank you for having me. Thank you for having me here. And I'm excited to listen to the rest of the program.
Alfred, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, will we be joined by Dr. Tanya?
I'm hoping she get on. She was on the phone with her mom's doctor. As you know, she was her mom was admitted into the hospital, so yeah. I'm not sure if she's still dialoguing with the doctors or not. But she did text and say she would be joining shortly, so.
Okay, well, please tell her that we wish her all the best and that we hope everything works out. And we're not going to be much longer, but there are some things that I do want to cover while I have both of you. Alfred, could you tell us a little bit about your book, Shadows of Immortality?
Shadows of Immortality, the untold struggles of Henrietta Lacks' grandson. It's a story written to tell the story of the shadows that I lived in growing up because my mom didn't know who her mom was. My mother was only 2 years old when Henrietta Lacks passed away, and it caused a ripple effect. So my mom had to grow up and had to learn how to be a young lady and a mother and a wife without a guide, so to speak. And it caused so many issues growing up. I faced domestic violence in my household. I faced drug addiction and alcoholism. I faced coming from a broken home. I came from a family that has a proud heritage, but never knew anything about Henrietta Lacks. for so many years after her demise by Johns Hopkins in 1951. So my book takes you on a journey of my life, of my mother's life, of my sister's life. It gives you an inside track on how one bad thing could happen to a family and can cause everything to go haywire. And I just wanted to share and be transparent with the readers, and I wanted to tell the story from a family member's perspective. We all know that Rebecca Skloot wrote her book, but her book isn't the end-all be-all. Her book isn't from a family's perspective, and that's what I give you. And a lot of wrongs that were in her book, I recreated and I took back the narrative because a lot of things that was portrayed to the masses were incorrect. And I wanted people to know that my family was not poor. We were not not intelligent. We were hard workers. My uncles were hard workers. My mother was a hard worker. My mother held multiple degrees. And I wanted people to know that. The same way that I'm a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, and I'm a high school graduate with college, none of those things were put in Rebecca Skloot's book because that was not the narrative that she was trying to create. She was trying to create a negative narrative. And I just want people to know that our family is far from what she tried to portray. And that's what my book recaptures the truth.
Thank you, Alfred. Candace, may I ask you a question? Sure. What has been the impact on your life of supporting Alfred since the time that y'all have been working together?
I'm very passionate about the education and preserving the legacy of Henrietta Lacks. I was very shocked that I had not heard of Henrietta Lacks prior to meeting Alfred at the science research convention that I was at. And I felt like if I have never heard of such a remarkable woman with a remarkable story who has contributed to all of our lives, not only has the HeLa cell saved lives, but it's also created lots of lives with the creation of in vitro fertilization. And so just being able to be a vehicle to help spread the knowledge and use it as a way to help people understand healthcare and to be more interested in taking control of their own health, being advocates for their own health. It's just a beautiful thing, and I'm thankful and grateful to be able to be a part of that.
Oh, okay.
There she is.
Thank
Without
you.
further ado.
Yes. Without further ado, this is Dr. Tanya Roberson. She is the Vice President of Programs and Services at Henrietta Lacks House. And if you would not mind, please share your thoughts with us today. There, Dr. Roberson.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Tanya Roberson, and I'm a community psychologist here in Chicago with an extensive background in public health and food service systems management. And I'm really excited to be here today and a part of the legacy for Henrietta Lacks because it's so very much needed. Because research saves lives, it creates jobs, and it also comes up with cures for individuals. But since everyone is made differently, genetically, everyone needs to participate in clinical research so that when they actually find this cure or medical device for the ones that need it, they'll actually be able to use it.
You know, I don't think you needed to have that written down, because every time we ask you anything, those words just kind of flow out like water. And so we really, really appreciate you and your devotion and dedication. Recently, there was an event that Henrietta Lacks House participated in. Could you describe what was the nature of that event and what was the outcome?
Okay, the outcome was excellent. I was really impressed, and more people came out than I thought had anticipated coming out, actually. It was to tell the story about Henrietta Lacks, to find out, just to increase awareness about her, because everyone should know about her and her contributions to medical advancement. And in that presentation, we talked about, like what I just mentioned, her story. Alfred gave a wonderful testimony and story about his grandmother. Candace talked about our organization, the Gila House, and then just about genetics and how knowing your family history is important and all of those different things. Then to talk about what goes on in your doctor's visit, because a lot of cultures, they say what goes on in your family stays in your family or in your house, but family secrets kill families. So talk about your doctor's visit, what you found out, to see if anyone else in your family has experienced those same things. We were able to disseminate a lot of surveys. We had over 50 individuals to fill out surveys, and just their feelings about clinical research, whether they'll participate in research or not, and if not, why not, and if they even knew who Henrietta Lacks was. So it was an excellent presentation, and they're looking for us to come back for part 2.
What will part 2 be like?
We're thinking that part 2, we're going to do it in January for Cervical Cancer Month. And there we'll probably show some tenets of the movie. We're still trying to put it together, though. So we're looking actually on the surveys for different things that the participants identified that they want to find out about.
So the survey that you've done, it has given good data.
Yes, it has a lot of insight on why community members will or will not participate in biomedical or clinical research.
Thank you. Alfred, could you please tell us about your upcoming engagement in Hawaii?
Yes, December the 12th and the 13th, I'll be in Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm going to speak at the University of Hawaii Cancer Center. This is my second time there. I went last year. The director of the Cancer Center, Dr. Kevin Castle, who's a great man. I met him in Brooklyn, New York. We both were speakers at SUNY Downstate Medical Center, and he invited me out. And I look forward to going to Hawaii and descientificating the people on the use of the HeLa cell and the importance of clinical research and clinical trials, like Dr. Tanya Roberson just mentioned.
Thank you, Alfred. And thank you, Dr. Tanya, and thank you, Candace. One more person I'd love to give a chance to speak, and I'm going to put him on the spot, is here with us, is, I don't even know quite how to describe him, but he is one of the most avid supporters of Salt Lake Community College, and he is genuinely one of the main voices in Utah for diversity. So, Sean, I could ask you if you would mind come up here for a second. Yeah, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but you should have never saw me at the NAACP dinner the other night. So, you know how that goes. I ain't got no training. So, Sean, if you could, I'd love for you to come up here so I can introduce you to Henrietta Lacks House. And this is Mr. Sean Newell. He's been a supporter of Salt Lake Community College. I'd like for him to just share a few words with us.
David's in trouble. I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank you all for being here to share with us today. You know, Utah has a very small minority community, and we get energized by having folks that are doing good work, bringing great opportunities here to our state. I understand from David that there is an opportunity possibly in the future for you to be here, to come here in person, and I look forward to assisting with that. And making that a worthwhile venture. I currently serve on the board of the University of Utah Hospitals and Clinics as well. So I would definitely look at elevating this opportunity if you come to town to be able to share more with you. But I so appreciate the time you've taken today to share with us. And I'm also going to let you know that David will still be around, even though I'm going to get him back right now. But I look forward to this opportunity. And thank you so much for sharing with us. And I'll share a whole lot more when you get to town here next time. Thank you.
So yeah, I still need some training from my mama, but that's okay. So the last person that we would really like to address us today, and that's because this entire presentation was intended to be virtual in the first place, and I think it's been very successfully virtual. We have our fun here in person, but the information that is really the core of what we're here to do today has been provided by you folks, and I hope everybody who's online has enjoyed it. And so I'm going to ask Gabriella from Safe UT. Diana, that's right. See, I ain't got no skills. Diana, to come up here. Safe UT has always been our partner at this time of year to make sure that there's a message of safety as we go into this very stressful time of year, which is the holidays. And we're getting pretty good at this, and maybe next year I'll remember her name.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. And as we're waiting to connect my computer real quickly, just want to say thank you for everyone that's watching. And mental health is very important, especially when we're talking about the very last week of classes. It's something to note is Safe UT is an emotional support app that was created by the state of Utah in 2016. Since then, we now have created a program where about 100% of publicly funded education programs in our state have access to the counselors through Safe UT. As this presentation begins here in just a few minutes, I want to make sure that everyone is aware of the resources of how Safe UT works. Most importantly, who can use this app, how this app and how this service can be utilized in general, and to ensure that as students, parents, and educators are getting together for the holiday season, and as we're finishing up our semester here at Salt Lake Community College and in other colleges throughout the state of Utah, we have the ability to get all of the resources that we need for students, educators, and parents. With that being said, let me,
Sorry.
no, you're good. Oh, give me 1 second.
Do you need sound?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Do you mind if I do one more thing?
Oh, sure.
Quickly. Oh, and do it that way. Let's see. Okay, perfect. So real quickly, as I've explained a little bit about Safe UT, let's get started and let's learn a little bit more about the Safe UT program, how Safe UT works, and what Safe UT can do for you, especially as we're finishing the semester, as we're starting a new year, and as we're getting closer to the holiday season. Maybe. There we go.
When we ask for help, it can have a lot of meanings.
Especially when it comes to our emotions.
Safe UT is a no-cost, confidential app that connects you with a licensed counselor
who's there to help you through any sized struggle you may be going through.
Sometimes it's a temporary obstacle, and you just need someone to talk you to the other side.
Other times, it's not so temporary.
A counselor is someone who can be there for you.
Listening and providing cover.
And sometimes, life can get so overwhelming.
You feel like you're fighting to survive.
That's when a counselor can be a lifeline.
You can call, you can text. It can be for you.
Or you can use the anonymous tip line for someone you're worried might hurt themselves or others.
Safe UT is here for you, whether it's something big, something small,
or something where you're not even sure what it is.
Don't ignore it.
Try talking to someone. It's always better to be safe.
Like I mentioned earlier, Safe UT is not just for students. It's also available for up to 1.9 million residents in the state of Utah. That means students, parents, and educators that are connected to someone in education has access to the Safe UT app. Let me break this down a little bit more, and actually let's talk about what this really looks like. When we're talking about education in the state of Utah, Safe UT has enrolled 100% of state-funded higher education in the entire state of Utah, and we have also enrolled 100% of districts as well as local education authorities in the state. When we break this down a little bit more, this is really important because we have 99% of middle schools and high schools enrolled in our program, as well as 97% of elementaries and 93% of charter schools K through 12. This is really important because we want to remind students, parents, and educators that as we get to these hard times, as we get to the winter seasons, if you're ever feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or find yourself needing someone to talk to, Safe UT is a resource that is available for you 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. Now, let's learn a little bit about how the Safe UT app works, all of the functions on the Safe UT app, and let me introduce you to some of my friends who may be able to explain this a little bit better.
Hi, I'm sadness.
Fear. Loneliness.
We're things everyone feels, and that's okay.
But you do not have to feel us alone.
With Safe UT, you can talk to real licensed counselors about whatever is troubling you, whenever it's troubling you, at no cost.
Safe UT can help you meet many of the challenges you're facing. Whether you're struggling with depression, not feeling good enough.
Need someone to talk to?
Worried about your own safety, or concerned about a friend. Parents and guardians can use the app to understand how to better talk with kids, teens, and college students in their life.
To start a chat, tap here. Type your concern, thoughts, or questions, and hit send.
You'll be connected to licensed counselors at the Huntsman Mental Health Institute who care for and want to support you. Available 24/7.
You can also submit a confidential tip.
To submit a tip, just tap here. Tell us your concern. Review your tip summary and hit submit. You can even include photos. Anyone who works at school, attends school, or cares for someone at school can send tips.
All tips are immediately reviewed by crisis counselors. Non-urgent tips are sent daily to appropriate school administrators, while counselors use their best judgment on involving law enforcement for the more serious tips.
If you're struggling and need to hear a real voice, tap to start a call. You'll talk to certified crisis workers who staff the Utah Crisis Line.
Whatever you say in chats, tips, or calls is confidential. Licensed counselors are trusted adults and only share relevant information when you or someone you know is at risk of harm. We'll always encourage you to make connections with other people in your life who you can trust. The app offers password protection on your old chats and tips, which you can see by hitting this button here.
Safe UT is here to listen, support, and hopefully introduce you to a few of our friends. Hope.
Safety.
And confidence. So, however you're feeling, there's a way to talk about it. Download Safe UT today.
Download the app today. Learn more at safeut.org.
So as my friends hope, safety, and some of the other emotions shared with you guys today, Safe UT is an app that provides extra support for our students, parents, and educators. Now, let's actually learn a little bit more about the app, when to use it, how to use it, and why it's here. Like I mentioned earlier, Safe UT is that emotional support app, but any student, parent, or educator in the state that is connected to a program with Safe UT has the ability to connect to our licensed mental health counselors that have the ability to provide that emotional support, as well as ensure that we can provide school safety throughout the state of Utah. This is done through some of the features on the Safe UT app. On the top left corner of the app, you will see the Start a Chat function. This function allows the user to be able to chat with our licensed counselors, ensuring that if the user is feeling stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, or is having a significantly bad day and needs someone to talk to, they have the ability to get that emotional support 24 hours a day through the help of a counselor with Safe UT. If the individual using the Safe UT app needs other situations or has other situations that they would like to report, specifically dealing with the safety of a student or a campus safety or a school safety threat, this is where individuals can submit confidential information through the submit a chat or the submit a tip function through the Safe UT app, ensuring that that confidential information that is submitted through the app gets to administrators and school officials, ensuring that we can keep the safety of our students while they're in school and away from school, as well as individuals who may not be comfortable using the text function of the app can also call and chat with our counselors who will be connected to crisis counselors with the Utah Crisis Line, ensuring that the individual gets the emotional support 24 hours a day. Now, for anyone that would like to review the conversations that they have had with our licensed counselors, you can go to the existing view, meaning that individuals will be able to review any conversation that they've had with our counselors. This is password protected and is the only way that we can ensure privacy for all of our users. Now, something to note, in the last fiscal year, Safe UT is happy to announce that we were able to save approximately 499 lives in the state of Utah, meaning this resource is being used. And let's learn a little bit more about that data. In the last fiscal year, Safe UT had 26,808 chats come in through the app. Now, not just chats, we also saw school tips. We had a total of 8,985 school tips come into the Safe UT app. Now, it is really important that we look at how we classify this information. For higher education, the top categories when talking about tips submitted We have at a 40% at suicide. Mental health comes at the second highest at 15%, followed by bullying at 9%, potential campus threats at 7%, self-harm at 7%, stress at 6%, followed by campus complaints at 5%, followed by substance abuse at 5%, as well as interpersonal issues at 3%, and social justice issues at another 3%. One thing that I want everyone to notice here is, although the numbers may not seem very high when it comes to potential campus threats, it is important that this app is being utilized for this resource. If you hear or see something, don't forget, SafeUT is also a way to make sure that we're keeping everyone on our campuses safe. For all of our students that are here and can see this presentation today, SafeUT is not just an app that can help you as a student get the support that you need when you need it. It is also a way to ensure that when you are on campus, that when your fellow students are on campus, if you see something and need to report it, please don't forget, SafeUT is a resource that you can do that. Download the SafeUT app, and don't forget, emotional safety as well as physical safety is important. For that reason, SafeUT is here to provide that support for all of our students, our parents, and all of the educators that are here on campus. I want to give a big thanks to Salt Lake Community College and David for having us come by today and present this information. For all of my fellow students that can see this presentation, I want to thank you for taking this time and reminding yourself that as we're finishing this semester, we have a couple more weeks before we're done. And more importantly, you are not alone. I know it can be very stressful, and I know that this last week is going to be the last big push. So if you ever need someone to talk to, if you're feeling a little extra heavy this week, don't forget, SafeUT is here to provide that support for you. And if you see any situation while you're on campus or see anything on social media or anything or any interaction that you have with someone in your life and you're concerned for their safety, if they are a student, please don't forget, you can make sure that they're safe by reporting that through the SafeUT app. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.
Always got to shake the hand of a lifesaver.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you. You come through every time. It is really, really good. I really appreciate y'all being here today.
Of course.
It started about mental health, and I'm glad y'all are with us to continue that journey.
Anytime, and we're happy to help.
Thank you so much. Henrietta Lacks saved lives, and we are very fortunate that SafeUT is here to bring that message home to all of us. And so we would like to close out this program by asking for final remarks from our Henrietta Lacks House board members. And we'll start with Candace, if you would, please. We can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I'm just very thankful to hear what everyone has shared today, and we look forward to continuing the conversation about future partnership opportunities.
Thank you, Candace. Dr. Tanya, would you please?
Okay, thank you. I'd just like to end with, it looks like all of our work is really aligning with one another, especially the big push about safety, education, because that's key. Education gives you options and helps you make informed decisions. and promoting self-advocacy for everyone, because you're the expert of yourself, and to push for your own health and well-being.
Thank you, Dr. Tanya. And to conclude things, we will ask you, Mr. Alfred Lax Carter, our Goodwill Ambassador from the World Health Organization, board member of Henrietta Lacks House, and de-scientificator in chief. Please give us your last words.
Thank you, David, for the kind words. You know, we are grateful to everyone who has taken the time to learn about Henrietta Lacks, our family, and her healer cells. Also remember, the immortal cells of Henrietta Lacks are a gift that keeps on giving. We will continue to spread our positive message to schools, libraries, associations, communities, and organizations worldwide, ensuring that Henrietta Lacks' contributions to humanity is never forgotten. So thank you all. The Henrietta Lacks House thanks you all, and the Lacks family thanks you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfred. And on behalf of Salt Lake Community College and all of the presenters here today, and all of the organizations represented here today, we want to thank Henrietta Lacks House for coming here virtually and making this place for this afternoon, Henrietta Lacks House in Utah. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a good holiday, be safe, and let's all continue to move forward together towards that one goal of making a better life for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a wonderful holiday, guys.
Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.